PC.com. John just showed me his backyard on the little iPad.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It was jaw-dropping.
Jared Nice and his crew.
that?
Great stuff.
Absolutely. All right.
And that's because of Adam being with us, which is even better.
Absolutely. Shefty, good morning. How you doing today?
Gentlemen, good morning to you. How's everybody doing?
We are spectacular.
We're 6-2, you know?
And we're talking sports today, Shefty.
Yeah.
We're talking sports.
We're able to
so
talk
we are
sports.
spectacular today.
How much do people want to veer outside of that and talk outside sports?
That's why we do not do it.
I don't even know what you're talking about, Shefty.
We just keep it in our lane.
We are talking sports. And we're talking trade deadline. Yesterday, the trade deadline came and went. The Philadelphia Eagles did not make any moves. Do you know if they made calls and if they were close to any deals being done?
Well, I'm sure they made calls because everybody makes calls. But I never heard of anything getting warm or close. I never heard of anything being meaningful. I never heard something is starting to heat up. Now, sometimes post-trade deadline, you hear, whoa, the Eagles and Browns were close for Myles Garrett. I know that didn't happen, but I'm saying you hear certain things about certain players that come out post-facto. But I will say that I never heard anything yesterday about anything heating up with Philadelphia. And when we did this spot last week and we talked about it, I said to you, I believe, that they would be dabbling around making. I said, I don't expect any blockbusters if they do anything. And that's what happened, basically. They've made moves. They traded for Dotson in September. There's only so many of those that you can do. They could have taken a swing if there was something worth swinging for, but I don't think they felt like we really need this and we have to upgrade here and this guy's available. None of it ever came together and married up to the point where the Eagles, in my mind, got close to making a deal yesterday.
If you were the Eagles at the end of the trade deadline, you said, and we heard Vic Fangio say, "I like what I got. I'm very happy with the guys we got." Does it ever make a team feel differently though when they see the Commanders got significantly better in their secondary, and the Detroit Lions got deeper and fixed a need that was jumping up on them?
Yeah, I don't think they're worried about that. I really don't. I think that they look at that and that's fine. Marshawn Lattimore, the Commanders gave up a lot to get him, and he has been a good player. And if he's Marshawn Lattimore, then that's a huge pickup for the Commanders. And I think under Dan Quinn, Dan Quinn's going to get it out of him. And that was the single biggest move of trade deadline day in my mind. The Commanders getting Lattimore. All you do is look at the compensation involved. There was no trade that involved that much compensation. But I don't think the Eagles look at Marshawn Lattimore as somebody that they're like, okay, well, this just swung the balance of the power in the division.
Shefty, do you think we saw a lot of trades happening before the trade deadline? The Eagles did that last year with Kevin Byard. Is that something that's going to be probably down the road more likely that we see trades happening a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before the trade deadline as opposed to the hard set 4 o'clock deadline in the NFL?
Andrew, what I've noticed in the NFL is that there's been a blurring of lines and timing on everything. It used to be that we wouldn't get head coaches fired until after Thanksgiving. Now they can get fired any time, any week, as we saw in week 4 with Robert Saleh, as we saw this week with Dennis Allen. They don't care if it's September, October, November, December. Anything could happen then with firings, and the same is true of trades.
Why is that? What has changed for that to happen?
We've seen it happen, and so other people have seen it happen. And so other people know, okay, well, hey, they fired their coach. They traded for a player. They traded for Devontae Adams this week. Let's go trade for DeAndre Hopkins this week. Now, timing has gone out the window on these things. The teams don't wait for anything anymore. The calendar, again, you used to be able to slot in certain things and could expect certain things at certain times. And I just believe there's been a total blurring of it because, this is just my vantage point from my chair of where I'm sitting and observing everything, but the NFL just takes over everything and doesn't care. So, it's everything. And I don't know that you could correlate the two, but it's the NFL saying, well, I know we only play games on Sundays, but now we're going to play them on Thursdays, and now we're going to play them on Friday nights in Brazil, and now we're going to play them on Wednesdays on Christmas. We've never done that because it's never enough, and it never stops, and it's been that way on and off the field. Like, it doesn't matter. Rules don't apply. Just do what you need. You need to make a trade in September? Make the trade in September. You need to fire your coach in October? Fine. We need to play a game on Wednesday? We do it Wednesday. Like, it doesn't matter anymore. There are no rigid rules the way there were when John and I first started covering this league a long time ago.
We came in Monday, though, Adam, with a 6-2 football team. And once again, the top story in Philadelphia and the top discussion points were Nick Sirianni's crazy in-game decisions. And then every single ESPN show had it within the first half hour of their coverage discussing Nick Sirianni. It's amazing to me how often this man makes himself the center of attention, and most of the time it's for all the wrong reasons.
Again, I just think it's pretty amazing that they're in the spot they are and have gotten the negative attention that they have. And a lot of it has been self-inflicted, but there aren't many teams sitting 6-2. That is the record, 6-2, right?
6-2.
That generate more negativity. It just seems a little odd to me. But that's where they're at. And you know what? It doesn't really matter. I mean, it doesn't matter. If they win Sunday again, they're 7-2. And you just keep stacking the wins. Say whatever you want. Question Nick Sirianni, criticize him for going at the fans. Say it doesn't matter. Just got to keep winning the games. It's good for you all to talk about.
All right, well, hold on a second. Does it matter for ownership?
Well, again, I'll say this. Keep winning games, and it doesn't matter.
Well, he made the playoffs 3 straight years, was 1 year off of being a Super Bowl appearance where they were toe-to-toe with the Chiefs, and it took them like a week to decide that they wanted to keep him last offseason. And this year has been another year of, principal's office visits for him and meltdowns publicly and then crazy decision-making. I would wonder if they're saying, is this the right guy going forward?
Well, I think every coach is being evaluated all the time. And there aren't many coaches that have faced any more scrutiny than Nick has. And you're right. Yeah, they didn't come out right away last year, right? Like everybody's, are they going to do something? No, they're not doing something. Okay. So if that question came up last year, I would say, why isn't going to come up again this year? Of course, right? Now, the only way for that to go, you can be right, I can be right, and we both can be right together.
Sure.
The only way for that to go away is to win games and have a great season. And if the season ends in disappointment and there are losses along the way and they stumble to the finish line like last year, I think we all could have a pretty good sense of where this would be going.
We're speaking to Adam Schefter on the Comcast Business Hotline. Shefty, one of the other reports that we saw throughout the week, not only could the Eagles have made trades, could they have traded somebody away? There were some reports about Bryce Huff potentially being on the block. Was there anything to that?
I heard those reports. I've never heard that mentioned. I've never heard it mentioned. So I'm not going to say it's not true, but I have no knowledge of that being true.
I love the fact, though, that we're talking about a meeting with Dallas this week and then leading up to a surprising story of a short week where the Eagles are going to host the Commanders. Okay, at 7-2, you've been a believer in the Commanders from before the year. I don't think anybody was thinking 7-2, but they've done a really, really good job. When you look at the Eagles and you look at the Commanders, do you see one team having the edge over the other?
Here's what I would say to that. It doesn't matter if I see one team with an edge over another. Like, I look at the Eagles and I'd say that's a deeper, talented, more talented roster.
Okay.
Okay? Great. So, okay, let's hypothetical. I'm giving the edge to the Eagles on their own. Who cares? Who are they going to? They're going to meet up. They have 2 games, and we're going to see on the field who's better. So here's what I'll do. I'll give the edge to the Eagles for the strength of their roster. It's a deeper, better roster, but I won't be surprised if the Commanders win because they have one of the most young, dynamic players in the game. And we don't know exactly how great he's going to be, but he's going to be really good. He's already really good. And how much better he's going to continue to be will help define where that franchise goes. And so, I mean, okay, I'll give an edge to the Eagles on the roster. I give an asterisk to Jaden Daniels, and now let's see what happens.
Schefter, how bad is it in Dallas right now?
Well, they've actually got more negative attention than the Eagles, but they're 3-5. And they play your Eagles on Sunday, 4:25 Eastern. I mean, just look at it. And I wondered back in February when they didn't redo a deal for Dak at that point before the new league year began in March. Like, what are you waiting on? Why wouldn't you get that deal done now and come in before the other quarterback deals like Jordan Love and Tua Tagovailoa and Trevor Lawrence that blew up the market that resulted in Dak getting $60 million a year? Why would you wait on that one? And why would you wait till the first day of the league year? So now the prices have gone up and you didn't get the flexibility and you went to free agency and spent less money than any team out there because you couldn't spend because you knew you had to pay your quarterback and didn't have as much cap flexibility as you ordinarily would if you had gotten that deal done with Dak in February rather than in September. So, I mean, that's just easy to look at. Now, there obviously are other issues here. The quality of the roster, the depth of the roster, everything that comes along with the Cowboys. And so, I don't know. They've been a really good team for a long time, but they haven't pushed the right buttons based on the way they've played over the last year.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a mess. Now, Schefter, last thing before we let you go, John and I got into this conversation earlier today, and I'd just like to get your insight on this from all of the years.
Cast a deciding vote.
All the years covering the NFL. The second half wall for younger players, how real is it? Because we've seen it here with guys like Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter on the line of scrimmage, but does the same go with guys in the secondary like a Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell? Because right now the Eagles are relying on those two guys to continue to play as well as they are. Is that something that we should keep an eye on?
Well, I think it's real, and I think everybody's different. And there's also been a blurring a little bit because the college football season, I think it's expanded a little bit, right? With those players, like teams like back in the day, like a college football team, and I don't really follow college football all that much. You tell me, didn't they used to play like it's 11 games, and now it seems like we're getting 13 games? Am I wrong?
Well,
about
some
that?
of them play like a kickoff classic game and everything. Most of the teams still are playing though 11, and then it gets to 12 with conference title games and things like that.
Yeah, it just seems like there's a little bit more in college, but there's a little bit more in the NFL because there's a lot more money everywhere for everybody to go make. And I mean, some guys it affects less than others, but it is undeniable that when an NFL rookie's coming in, he just hasn't played 17 games in a year. It's a different deal. You know, you don't know how your body's going to feel in late December when you've had, all a training camp and then the season. So, some people are better equipped to handle it. Some people are more physically mature to handle it. Some people are more mentally mature to handle it. But there's no way that it doesn't impact everybody. Just no way. I don't know exactly how it's going to impact Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell. Don't know that. But I would just assume that there's going to be some type of impact. I don't know those guys as people to say like how professional they are or aren't, how serious they are or aren't, how are they going on the weekends? Are they staying home playing? I don't know how they take care of themselves. I have no idea. And some people, they learn that over time. Some people come in as pros. Some people develop into pros. Everybody's different.
Absolutely. Schefter,
You're
listen,
a pro.
man. You're a pro.
Yeah,
we appreciate it
you
as
come
always.
in like a pro every week.
Yeah, well, we love doing this. I love being with you guys.
Good.
It's fun talking about sports, and I'm just happy we're not talking about last season.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
I know
buddy.
you were ready to move on from that one.